Good day everyone! In this video, we are going to demonstrate a very simple experiment that has something to do with the properties of solute, solvent, and solution. This experiment is entitled Making Salt Water. This may be a simple experiment, but it explains what a solute and solvent is. It also briefly tackles how solid molecules, such as that of solvent, interacts with the molecules of solute and how they affect each other, and how this can be applied in real-life situations. Now, let's get started. Here are the materials that we will need for this experiment. First on the list is table salt. Prepare at least 3 tablespoons of salt. This will be our solute. Next, we will need some water for the solvent. Did you know that the universal solvent is water? The third material that we will need are measuring spoons, or you can substitute this with a regular tablespoon. We would also need a plastic cup. A clear cup is much preferable for this experiment. And lastly, a stirring utensil. You can use regular chopstick or any elongated object for this.
For the procedure of this experiment, fill a clear plastic cup about halfway with water. Add 1 teaspoon of table salt to the water and stir until the salt dissolves. Observe the appearance of the salt water. And then add another teaspoon of table salt and stir until it dissolves.
And for the last one, observe the appearance of the salt water again.
The primary aim of this experiment is to learn how to make salt water. So its purpose is we can use the salt water to measure how its density works. With summer approaching and beach trips planned, it's a great time to learn about how salty ocean water is different from fresh river water. In this experiment, we have a solute and a solvent. The salt is the solute and the water is the solvent. So what is solute? Solute is a substance that can be dissolved into a solution by a solvent. Solute can take many forms. It may be a form of a gas, a liquid, or a solid. On the other hand, solvent is a substance that dissolves a solute, resulting in a solution. It is usually a liquid but can be a solid or a gas.
When salt is mixed with water, the salt dissolves because the covalent bonds of water are stronger than the ionic bonds in the salt molecules, and it becomes salt water. Salt water is a homogeneous mixture or a solution. Also, adding salt to the water increases the density of the solution because the salt increases the mass without changing the volume very much. When enough salt is added to the water, the salt water solution's density becomes higher.
Making salt water involves dissolving salt and pure water to create a solution with a high concentration of dissolved salt. Here are some of the properties of salt water. Salinity. Salt water is characterized by its salinity, which is a measure of the concentration of dissolved salt in the water. The salinity of salt water can vary depending on the amount of salt that is dissolved in the water. Density. Salt water is denser than pure water due to the presence of dissolved salt molecule. This can have important implications for ocean current and marine life. The taste. Salt water has a distinct taste that is salty due to the presence of dissolved salt.
If more salt is added to salt water, the appearance of the water will change. The water will become more opaque and darker in color. This happens because as more salt is added to the water, the salt dissolves and forms ions. These ions scatter light in all directions, making the water appear cloudy. Additionally, the concentration of salt in the water will increase, making the water appear darker in color. Yes, the process of adding a solute to a solvent can be reversed through a process called evaporation or distillation. Evaporation involves heating the solution to vaporize the solvent, leaving behind the solute. Distillation is a similar process that involves heating the solution and collecting the vapor in a separate container, leaving behind the solute. Both of these processes can be used to remove the solute from the solvent, effectively reversing the process of adding the solute to the solvent. However, it's important to note that some solutes can chemically react with the solvent, making it difficult or impossible to reverse the process. Additionally, some solutes can form irreversible chemical bonds with the solvent, making it impossible to separate them through physical means like evaporation or distillation.
The experiment of making salt water by dissolving salt in water is directly related to real-world applications of solutions. One such application is desalination, where salt and other minerals are removed from seawater to make it safe for human consumption and agricultural use. Additionally, solutions are used in food preservation, such as pickling, where salt water is used to preserve food by inhibiting the growth of bacteria and other microorganisms.